June 15, 1944. As the first light of dawn crept across the Pacific, the sea itself seemed crowded with steel and memory. From the decks of American transports, Saipan emerged from the mist, an island of jagged limestone ridges, dense jungle, and hidden caves. Naval guns thundered without pause, their concussions rolling across the water like distant storms. On board, Marines stood silent, gripping rifles, staring forward. Every man understood one thing clearly: this island was not just another objective. It was a doorway to Japan. I speak now as a historian, but Saipan demands more than dates and diagrams. It demands atmosphere, tension, fear, because what unfolded here was not merely an amphibious assault. It was the moment the Japanese Empire began to die. While the world watched Allied forces storm the beaches of Normandy, another invasion unfolded far from Europe's headlines. Operation Forager brought the full weight of American power crashing into the Mariana Islands. Saipan was the key. From its airfields, Boeing B-29 Superfortress bombers could finally reach the Japanese home islands. Factories, cities, Tokyo itself. If Saipan fell, Japan's strategic isolation would be complete. The Americans came prepared. More than 71,000 Marines and soldiers from the 2nd and 4th Marine Divisions and the Army's 27th Infantry Division moved toward the beaches. They were supported by overwhelming naval firepower. 15 aircraft carriers, battleships, destroyers, an armada without precedent in the Pacific. Waiting for them were over 25,000 Japanese defenders of the 43rd Infantry Division, entrenched in terrain that seemed designed for death. Saipan's limestone caves swallowed entire units. Ravines broke formations. Jungle limited vision to mere yards. This was not a battlefield for sweeping maneuvers. It was a place where enemies appeared suddenly, violently, and at terrifyingly close range. And hidden among these defenders was something the Americans did not truly fear: Japanese tanks. To Allied planners, Japanese armor barely registered as a serious threat. Pre-war designs: thin armor, small guns, nothing remotely comparable to the armored giants battling across Europe. Intelligence reports suggested Japanese tanks would appear only in small numbers, likely destroyed with ease. That assumption would not survive the first nights on Saipan. Japan had done something unprecedented. Instead of scattering its armored vehicles, it had concentrated them. Nearly 100 tanks. Type 95 Go light tanks, Type 97 Chi-Ha medium tanks, improved Shinhoto Chi-Ha variants, and even amphibious Type 2 Mi tanks were assembled on the island. It was the largest armored force Japan would ever commit in the Pacific War. Their plan was bold, desperate, and deeply flawed: a massed armored counterattack, launched at night, intended to smash the Marine beachhead before it could solidify and drive the invaders back into the sea. At the center of this plan stood the Type 95 Go, Japan's most common tank, and the one that would earn a fearsome reputation on Saipan. Introduced in 1936, the Go weighed just over 8 tons. Its armor, at a maximum of 12 millimeters, was barely thicker than a rifle plate. Its 3-man crew worked in claustrophobic conditions, with a lone commander inside a cramped turret, forced to observe, command, and load the 37mm gun himself. By 1944 standards, it was obsolete in every measurable way. And yet, on Saipan, this cheap tank became something far more dangerous than its specifications suggested. Terrain reshaped reality. In the jungles, ravines, and broken ground of Saipan, long-range gunnery meant nothing. Visibility collapsed. Engagements became sudden and intimate. The Go's small size allowed it to move along narrow tracks and emerge where heavier vehicles struggled. Its engine, loud and high-pitched, cut through the night like an approaching predator. The first shock came on the night of June 15. As Marines consolidated their fragile beachhead, strange silhouettes appeared out of the darkness. Japanese amphibious tanks. The Type 2 Mi, fitted with detachable pontoons, looked almost absurd. One Marine would later describe it as resembling overgrown plumbing. Lieutenant James R. Ray had warned his men the Japanese might throw everything at them, including the kitchen sink. When the Mi appeared, Private First Class Nestor Sotilo famously shouted that the Japanese had arrived with exactly that. Laughter flickered briefly. Then the bazookas fired. The M1 2.36-inch bazooka, still a relatively new weapon, proved brutally effective. Marine teams knocked out Japanese tanks at point-blank range. One amphibious tank was destroyed at the front of the lines. Another broke through, only to be hunted down and destroyed within 75 yards of a Marine command post. The novelty vanished quickly. The danger did not. Lieutenant General Yoshitsugu Sato understood his time was slipping away. His order was simple and merciless: destroy the enemy at the water's edge. During the night. On the night of June 16 into June 17, Sato unleashed his armored thrust. 44 tanks from the 9th Tank Regiment rolled forward. Type 95 Ghosts forming the bulk of the force, supported by Type 97 Chi-Ha medium tanks and a handful of improved Shinhoto Chi-Ha vehicles. Japanese infantry clung to bamboo frameworks welded onto the tanks, riding toward death with rifles in hand. The Shinhoto Chi-Ha deserves pause. Armed with a high-velocity 47mm gun, it was the most powerful Japanese tank to fight in the Pacific. At close range, from the flank or rear, it could penetrate an American Sherman. But there were too few of them. Far too few. The attack began around 3:30. Star shells burst overhead, casting harsh white light across chaos. Tanks advanced in loose groups of 4 or 5. Some bogged down in swampy ground. Others wandered, commanders struggling to orient themselves. Infantry dismounted, remounted, clustered, and died. From the Marine lines, machine guns ripped into the exposed riders. Mortar rounds exploded among them. The 75mm pack howitzers of the 10th Marines fired direct into the massed attackers, unleashing over 800 rounds. One battery of 105mm howitzers fired until its ammunition was exhausted. Yet still, some tanks broke through. This was where the go shocked Allied forces. In the darkness, a tank does not need thick armor to terrify. It only needs momentum. Ghosts rolled directly into Marine positions, firing point blank into foxholes, crushing equipment beneath their tracks. Bazooka teams fired at distances so close the blast scorched skin. Some rockets punched clean through the thin armor, detonating beyond the tank. Sherman gunners later noted their armor. Piercing rounds passed straight through Japanese tanks. They switched to high explosive shells simply to tear them apart. By dawn, the battlefield was littered with wreckage. Turrets lay blown off. Headless hulls burned silently. Japanese dead lay everywhere. Many still strapped to tanks that had carried them forward. The armored attack had failed. It had always been doomed. But its impact endured. For the Marines, Saipan became a study in combat horror. The sound of engines at night haunted survivors long after the war ended. For the Japanese, the tank attacks represented final defiance, steel expressions of a belief system that valued sacrifice over survival. In comparison, American armor was superior in every technical category. Sherman tanks were heavier, better armed, better protected, and supported by radios, artillery, and air power. But superiority does not erase fear. On Saipan, Japanese tanks were used aggressively, recklessly, and without concern for survival. That mindset amplified their psychological effect far beyond what their designs warranted. By July, Saipan was lost. Nearly the entire Japanese garrison was annihilated. American casualties numbered in the thousands. Civilians, trapped by propaganda and terror, leaped from cliffs rather than surrender. And from Saipan's captured airfields, B-29 bombers soon rose toward Japan, carrying the war home. When I look back at the Type 95 Go, I do not judge it by armor thickness or gun caliber. I judge it by what it achieved on that island. On Saipan, this cheap tank shocked Allied forces not through strength, but through timing, terrain, and the will of men who had already accepted death. Saipan teaches a final, uncomfortable truth. In war, even the weakest weapons can become terrifying when used with desperation and purpose. Steel remembers this. And so do the men who heard those engines in the dark.